Hello everyone. So in today's video, I want to talk to you about a little project I just finished here in the house. Quick little backstory. We bought this house a few years ago, and one thing we noticed it didn't have was a pantry. We have lots of kitchen cabinets, so we've never had a problem with storing food of any kind, but we just always needed a proper pantry. So one thing I'm going to do to fix the situation lies behind this door right here. So stay tuned, we're going to get right into it. All right, so no project would be a project if you didn't have to start cleaning or demoing something. So in true fashion, here I am removing the dog food bin, the thermal bags, the coolers, the totes, the aprons, everything. And then the one lone wire shelf that they decided to put in this closet when they built the house. We did not have this house built for us. It was already pre-built when we got it. So we didn't make any decisions on what was in this house. And I've spent the last several years modifying things that the contractors did to make it more of our own and kind of, just get the most out of this house that's possible. So this little project here is no exception. We have been needing a pantry, and this little corner closet here has been almost a misuse of space this whole time. So what you're seeing me do here, I'm using a rare earth magnet to locate the nails or drywall screws holding the drywall up. Those are going directly into studs, so if you use a rare earth magnet, it'll magnetize itself and stick to where either a nail head or a drywall screw is. And then I'm just making a mark on the wall to locate all the studs in both of these two walls here. Once I had all my marks done, I then moved on to pulling a tape measure and mapping out the heights of the shelves that I'm putting into this closet. I'm going with 5 shelves. The limitations I have are that we like to keep the dog food bin in the bottom of this closet already, so we are going to keep it in its same location, and I'm going to start the first shelf on bottom just a couple inches above that, and then the 4 remaining shelves go all the way up to the top of the door, giving us enough room to get things onto the top shelf. So what I'm doing here, I am now mapping out a template for the supports of the shelves that are going to go on the back wall. These are, again, going to be corner shelves, if I haven't mentioned that already. So what I'm doing is I'm putting 2 horizontal supports onto the drywall going directly into the studs for each shelf. So that gives us a total of 10 supports for all of the shelves, and this will make it a little bit nice and rigid and should be able to support just about any weight that I want to throw at it. Alright, so with the painter's tape out of the way, I started measuring to cut my shelves. And when I did this, I ran into my first snag of the project, and that is that the corner walls are not perfectly at a 90-degree angle. So what that means is I can't use the factory edges of this plywood to cut my triangle out of, or in this case, my shelf. For those of you who are not familiar, a right triangle has a perfect 90-degree measurement. Well, the angle is a 9.5 degrees, so that means it's more of a scalene triangle or an obtuse triangle. A scalene means there's no side of the triangle that are the same length, which is kind of where I'm classifying this shelf to be. Also, an obtuse triangle has one angle that measures more than 90 degrees. So either way, I'm going to go ahead and kind of call it a scalene triangle, just for the technicalities of everything. But with that being said, I had to get creative on how do you measure and cut. So my measurements for the shelves are 32.5 inches by 34 inches by 47 inches, which is 32.5 and 34 are the two sides along the walls of the closet and that 47-inch measurement is the front of the shelf. So I'm going to use the edge of the plywood for my 47-inch side of the shelf. I started at the corner of the sheet of plywood and measured across the bottom to 47 inches. Then I went back to that original corner of the plywood and put my tape measure. And from that point, I measured out to 34 inches, and using my tape measure and pencil, I drew an arch at that 34 inches. So I made an arch mark with pencil. The next measurement was 32.5 inches, so I went back to that first pencil mark, which is at 47 inches, and from there I measured out with the tape measure to 32.5. When I got to 32.5, it intersected the arch that I had just made. So where that 32.5 inch measurement intersected that 34-inch arch, that's where you put a second mark. And at this mark, I have all of my measurements done. So with that now being all done, you should have 3 points visual on the plywood. One is at the corner of the sheet of plywood, the second is over at 47 inches, and the third is at the intersecting measurements that we just finished marking. So next, all you have to do is draw lines to connect these points together, remembering that one side is already figured for us. So all we are doing is drawing 2 lines, because that third is the edge of the wood with 47 inches. But overall, this shows you the shape of the scalene triangle once you connect all the points. And then all you have to do is just take your saw and cut the 2 sides, and boom, you have a 3-sided scalene triangle. So then all you have to do, in my case, was I just rinsed and repeated, and I cut 5 shelves at the same process. Now, because I don't trust other work that was not done by myself, I measured for each shelf every time. It's just when you get the tape measure in there and start looking. But I cut all 5 shelves, same process, drawing the shelves shape with the new method that I just showed you. And then I used a piece of lumber to cap the fronts of the shelves off, and I cut the ends of those. I mitered the ends to meet the angles of the wall as well, so that they fit nice and flush. So anyway, you don't necessarily have to do this, it's not going to be seen, but in my case I wanted the shelves to be completely form-fitting to the area that they're being snapped into. And once I had everything cut and together, my wife stepped in and painted all of the shelves, and after about 24 hours or so of drying time with the shelves, then I went to install. And to install, I just started at the bottom and worked my way up. So again, set all the shelves where they're going to go. I actually had them all kind of numbered on the ends that you couldn't see, so that we knew where they were going. So 1 through 5, 1 being at the bottom, all got installed. And then I used my finish nailer to actually nail them into place, and that is how it was all done. So pretty happy with the finished product. Again, kind of had some ideas of what was going to go on which shelves. So I knew we were going to need paper towel storage, I knew we were going to need water bottle storage, and then we had some containers that were going to go on shelf number 4 that were taller than the others. So those containers and everything were all kind of determined on where they would go and made sure they would fit. So to wrap everything up, corner shelves were the way to go for us in this closet. I could have easily added some more wire shelving to match what was already in there and just run a bunch of wire shelves along one of the walls, but I would not have been maximizing our space. So to maximize space, I've custom fit corner shelves into this old closet, making a new, modern, and custom pantry in our house.